Good morning. I'm Darrell Nicholas. I'm the Senior Deputy General Manager with Guadalupe-Blanco River Authority. And this morning I'm going to give you an update on the Mid-Basin Water Supply Project. I presented on this before in the past, but there's been some additional information I'd like to share with you this morning. As a river authority, GBRA is involved in many activities throughout the Guadalupe River Basin. This includes wholesale projects and large regional water projects, both for raw water and for water treatment. Several of which have helped supply the growth in our basin the past few decades. These large projects can take decades to plan and implement. High growth has been a topic that many community leaders in our basin have been experiencing and having to manage for the past several years. The growth is not only on the I-35 corridor between Austin and San Antonio, but also extends west into the hill country from 35. In some areas, the population served today has exceeded what the 2016 Regional Water Plan projected would be served by 2030. So the area along I-35 corridor that has remained in the top 10 or even top 5, depending on what publication you follow, of growing areas in the entire country for the past several years. We typically refer to this area as our Mid-Basin area. The 2021 Regional Water Plan has updated the populations and is projecting the population to grow by almost another 60% within the next 20 years. So all of GBRA's developed raw water is committed, and most local supplies have also been fully developed. So from where will the water come to serve this growing population? So one project that GBRA has been studying for more than 15 years is the Mid-Basin Water Supply Project. This is a phased project to develop multiple available water supplies where they are located, primarily in Gonzales County and east, and deliver that water to the fast-growing areas in the I-35 corridor where it's needed. The project is a conjunctive use involving groundwater, surface water, off-channel storage, and aquifer storage and recovery, known as ASR. The first phase of the Mid-Basin Project includes developing groundwater from the Carrizo Aquifer in mostly Gonzales County. This is a shared facility project with Alliance Regional Water Authority, and Graham Moore will provide more information about that project in a separate presentation this time around. Groundbreaking on GBRA's 15,000 acre-foot well-filled project took place last month. Now, phase 2 of the Mid-Basin Project can add another 27,000 acre-feet of supply to the area, and it involves diverting elevated flows from the Guadalupe River, temporarily storing in an off-channel reservoir, treating the water, and injecting it into the ground for storage until a later time. Now, earlier this year, GBRA successfully obtained the surface water permit to divert 75,000 acre-feet of water from elevated flows on the Guadalupe River that will support phase 2 of the Mid-Basin Project. Now, GBRA began studying the potential project components in the early 2000s, as I said earlier, which included mainly desktop feasibility analysis that evaluated phasing options. With phase 1 now being implemented, that study will need to be updated as GBRA continues to advance the next phase of the project so that supplies can be available when needed in the 2030s or 2040s. It can take decades to develop large water supply projects, so we have a 7-year plan to complete the planning and the preliminary engineering for phase 2 that is flexible and adaptable, and that will further define the project, confirm the desktop analysis, and develop capital and operational cost. It leverages other initiatives by GBRA and also the Water Development Board that will help save time and money for the development of this planning phase. It allows for collection and analysis of all available data, determine the feasibility and optimal scale of the project. It will involve additional desktop and field investigations. We'll assess environmental and regulatory constraints. We'll confirm the project area and storage zone for the ASR. We'll install and test ASR pilot wells, and we'll confirm the aquifer properties. Now, the Water Development Board's Water Science Division prioritized a list of ASR projects in the state and selected GBRA's Mid-Basin Project as their top choice to fund and conduct a study of all available data that impacts ASR for our project area. This study has already been initiated, and it lays the groundwork for finding suitable areas for an ASR project, including the geographic location, depth, and the geological characteristics. The collection and analysis of all available data is a key first step to updating the feasibility report for the Mid-Basin Project that was started in the early 2000s. Now, the study area that's being analyzed by the Water Development Board was selected for several reasons. The location along the Guadalupe River, where GBRA is authorized to divert the elevated flows, which is primarily downstream of the confluence with the San Marcos River. GBRA has existing water leases in this area shown on the slide that might be used for ASR. In addition, wellfield infrastructure is being developed for phase 1 of our project in this area, and which would allow for collection of well drillings and analysis for potential chemical reaction and metal mobilization during ASR cycling. There's also transmission easements that are in place that could provide a route to deliver water to customers from this project area to the IH-35 corridor. It's anticipated that this project at the Water Development Board, that they will complete their study sometime later this summer. So the Guadalupe River supports not only people and industry, but also various species throughout our basin, some of which may possibly get listed as endangered. We will need to understand the environmental constraints for use of the surface water for this ASR project. Now, GBRA is about to start work on a habitat conservation plan that will help identify these species and the various mitigation strategies. Now, we'll learn about the species needs in GBRA's especially in GBRA's diversion reach that was shown on that project area map a few slides ago. And we'll ensure that the Mid-Basin Water Supply Project is a covered activity in the HCP. Now, Nathan Pence will talk more about the HCP in his keynote presentation. The next step will be to update the feasibility study to hone in on the optimal project and from a feasibility and cost standpoint, along with environmental considerations and the regulatory requirements. We will utilize a study from the Water Development Board to help identify the storage zone for ASR, and we'll also include identifying geographical areas where the water will be needed and how this project could integrate with existing and planned infrastructure routes for delivering water to those areas in the IH-35 corridor. Now, once a project area and storage zone are identified, GBRA will need to install and operate some pilot ASR wells. Source water will need to be similar to that from the Guadalupe River, which will be used for the testing. The pilot ASR wells will help confirm aquifer properties by verifying the injection rates, storativity, storage capacity, recovery rates, and ultimately the firm yield. Now, options for pilot ASR wells may include converting existing production wells, such as some of the wells in the Carrizo groundwater project that we're implementing now, or drilling new pilot wells, which will be a little bit more expensive. Now, this portion of the planning will take a couple of years, as the pilot ASR wells will need to be operated through multiple cycles to gather the information. These options and potential locations will be evaluated and updated in the Mid-Basin study to determine the actual location it needs to be. So with confirmation of the aquifer characteristics, GBRA can next initiate preliminary design. This will provide a preliminary engineering report that will be the basis for full design and construction. It will include siting of the diversion, storage, treatment, and ASR facilities, along with sizing and possible phasing of those facilities. Infrastructure costs and operational costs of those facilities will also be evaluated. In addition, the preliminary engineering report will also provide cost estimates for infrastructure and operation to deliver the water supply to the IH-35 corridor. Now, large regional projects like this take decades to plan, design, and implement. Because significant infrastructure will need to be constructed, Phase 2 of the Mid-Basin Project will most likely need to be developed in tranches of greater than 10,000 acre-feet at a time. Multiple entities must participate together to share in the cost of the facilities and to obtain efficiencies in the operation of those facilities. Regional partnerships can also help maximize and efficiently use all of our combined existing sources to meet the demands of not just a single entity, but of a larger area. This will help bridge the gap from an individual need to a regional need. That regional need will provide the larger concentrated water need that is required to develop the next phase of the Mid-Basin Project. With the preliminary engineering completed, Phase 2 of the Mid-Basin Water Supply Project will be ready for design and construction when that larger regional need for water approaches. Although I can't take any questions from this presentation directly, if you have any questions, you can contact me directly at GBRA either by phone or by email. Thank you.